they were dominant in the team fights past that ice block point.
Yeah. Well, I have some news on the maps, which is that for game number 2, we're going to be going to Battlefield of Eternity. That's been picked by Diaz. So when a team loses in Heroes Lounge, they get a choice for their next game of map pick or first pick, and in this case, Diaz picking the map, and they've gone for Battlefield of Eternity. Now, what do we make of that? What does that suggest about how they want to play this?
I don't know actually. They might have some certain heroes in mind, especially like I feel like Battlefield for Eternity is a complete different approach. It's less macro a little bit, as it's only a 2-lane map. And for the objective, you can go for a race on the objective, but it feels to me at least like most of the times, it's not the team that just has the better race wins the matches. It's always around the team fights, and if you can very well defend around your own immortal there, so yeah, it's going to be interesting to see which approach the two teams actually take here. Will they go for an aggressive combination, for a race combination? We have heroes that would kick in here, which would not at all on Infernal Shrines, like Li Ming, because Li Ming is kind of bad on Infernal Shrines because she gets blocked on her damage with all the minions in between. And on on Battlefield of Eternity, you do have that team fights in wide open spaces. So Li Ming is kind of the #1 mage for this map, especially with her damage on the Immortal as well. So yeah, it's a different map, and I get the idea of Team Deers to go for that approach, since I guess they got a little bit out macroed as well on the big map Infernal Shrines. Like if we talked about it, the good rotation from Irel coming in for a 5-against-4 situation when they were still down a little bit, and they were actually with the it wasn't looking too rough yet, but they were behind a little bit, and they managed to turn it around with some good rotations, with some well-placed team fights on their side. So, and this is not that easily done on the Battlefield Eternity.
No, yeah, I absolutely agree. By the way, the viewers, we do still have a poll running, where you can still vote on. I was going to say you can still vote on the Legendary Cup. Who will win? You think will win the Legendary Cup? But it appears to have finished. So apparently the poll finished with Northern Exposure winning the most votes. I'll just show that for viewers there. Northern Exposure won the most votes in that poll. So I guess that's the end of that. But that's quite a different result from what we saw in the draw show, where Northern Exposure were a bit lower. I think they were they were 10th in the draw show poll. So.
Yeah, so maybe we do have some Northern Exposure fans here, and I actually didn't see any games from Northern Exposure in the playoffs as well. So maybe they pulled off some amazing series there and are now fans' favorites. Who knows?
So, with that in mind, I think we're almost ready to go into game number 2, or draft number 2, I should say. This time we'll actually have the draft on screen, so it won't just be a radio draft.
Yeah, you are in the right lobby, or we're both wrong, and that would be kind of interesting after already a match played.
No, we are.
But then we're just gonna cover a different match. Fine.
And I think there's already betting going on, so you'll be able to bet on who you think will win game number 2 by typing !bet A and a number of points for Diaz, and !bet B and a number of points for Team snOr. Let's go into the draft in game number 2. So, with that in mind, because you were talking about the Li Ming here on Battlefield, amongst other things, I guess what you were saying is you still need to win the team fights, even though you need race as well. So, probably we'll see heroes who are good for both, getting some priority here in the draft. But apparently Garrosh getting banned early, so these teams really don't like playing against Garrosh.
Yeah, that's basically the same like in the first in the first match as well. We saw an Eric Garrosh ban, but especially on BOE, you really want to get rid of this guy as he can place you with a nice target. He can place you into the stun of your own immortal and get his own follow up just by by a member that is not even on your team. So yeah, kind of dangerous. Same goes for Alarak with his W. With his telekinesis, can really put down a hero into a spot that he doesn't want to be.
Yeah, so clearly focusing the team fight there with those bans, because Alarak can't do that much race compared to a lot of other heroes who get priority. Hanzo, on the other hand, he can. So I think that's where that's what that Hanzo ban is aimed at. I mean, I have to say the Hanzo arrows were not so impactful last game for DS. I wish. I mean, of course, I mean we're only.
Yeah, but we know actually what kind of interesting. Before I might call out a Vala pick here, because Vala is not yet banned, and it looked like it was a target ban, and Vala is very strong. And there we go. Boom.
Good.
Called
correct prediction. Yes.
Yeah, but I want to talk about Hanzo before that, because Hanzo, especially strong on if Battlefield of Eternity as well, with the serrated arrows there, he can really do good on the race. So another reason maybe to ban him out here.
Yes, absolutely. I think the idea, I guess the idea of letting Vala through is that Sephiroth's saying, well, look, I'm going to play Joanna because she's still open. She's one of the best tanks in the game, and B, she directly answers that Vala damage. But of course, that leaves the Li Ming open here from Erwin for Team snOr. So Vala and Li Ming, that's great immortal poke and race there from Team snOr.
Yeah, together with the ETC, who is a little bit countered by the Johanna, but I feel like ETC is one of the top tier tanks in basically any time with all that CC that he brings in. And yeah, against that Greymane, he will provide a lot of peel for this so far pretty squishy backline. So very understandable choices here from both sides so far.
Yes, as Chen gets banned. I think Chen was one of the more impactful heroes last time for Dia, so that's a very solid ban. I credit to Team snOr actually for playing around that Chen ult so successfully. Sometimes a Chen heroic can be just devastating on its own, but they ban him this time, so they won't have to even deal with him, even though they were good at it last time.
Okay, so we do get the Ana and the Imperious pick coming in. We haven't seen a mage yet for that Ana, but there are still a lot open, so they're gonna provide with that in the last pick, I guess. And the Imperious pick kind of surprises me for the moment. Maybe what value do you see from him here?
I think the idea is it's an Uther solo lane, by the way, that he's going up against. I think the idea I was about to say is just that he's a solid, like Imperious is a solid all-round brawler, and I think he's gonna. I was going to say before the Uther pick that he's going to control the solo lane, and he's going to be, a big nuisance in team fights, and you've only got ATC to control him. The Uther pick, I think, is a great answer to that. He's got the CC to really punish Imperious when he comes in, and he's got extra healing and burst protection. So a great pickup there from Rafaloy on Team snOr. So I think that's a well-rounded draft with the addition of the Uther from Team snOr. So I have to say I'm backing Team snOr here on draft alone.
Yeah, let alone the performance in the team fights from the first match coming in. I really feel like that as well. We do have Vala, which is like hyper carry. Vala got back into the game a little bit, and especially with that Uther that we know in the current meta can work on a solo lane. With the ETC for the peel, they do have the way better sustain fights, and even if they need to, they can blow up a target with that Li Ming and Vala burst damage on an isolated target from the ETC.
Okay, well, we're going to find out as we introduce the teams. And we're going to number 2 in this best of 3 quarterfinal. And in blue, on the left, we have Diaz with Sephiroth playing the Johanna, Gaben on the Jaina. We have Junie on the Greymane, Pookie on this time, and of course Mai on Imperious. And who's in the red team? Heroes at School.
On the right side, we do have Melee playing on the Vala. We have Raffaloy on the Uther. Empress is playing the ETC with Irwin on Liming, and SnakeYBots is playing the Rhaegar here.
Absolutely. So these teams are both going to go to the fairly standard laning structure: Uther versus Imperius in the top lane, and 4v4 in the bottom, as the teams start trading blows and start clearing. Level 1 talents are in, and ETC, I have a great respect for this. ETC going for the auto attack talent. That presumably means he's going Hammer on at level 7, because that gives him more immortal and single target damage in general. One of the things people might think that's a bit strange though is because the Joanna blind does mean she can shut down ETC's healing a little bit when he's blinded. But outside of that, he will be getting a lot of self-sustain.
Yeah, I mean, he does, but kind of surprised by that as well, as we still do see kind of a good burst combo coming in, especially with the nano boost Jaina later and the Grey main. So you're not gonna be able to be around the enemy backline for a longer time. So like I get the idea on the shrine. He can heal himself up pretty well, or the objective, but not sure if he can really benefit from it a lot in the team fights. Gonna be interesting to see.
By the way, Uther just getting those auto attack stacks up and running as fast as possible, just hitting those minions on Imperius whenever he can. Of course, once he gets to 75, then he'll have Hammer of Justice a lot faster, because he'll be able to reduce that Hammer of Justice cooldown every time he auto attacks. So definitely there's going to be a lot of stuns coming out from me for this game, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a Divine Storm as well, as the fight kicks off over this bottom camp. ETC completely zoned out by that Blizzard though, so Emperor basically has to give position here. So nice zoning Blizzard there from Gaben to just completely create a frosty wall between his team and the enemy.
Yeah, and again, it feels like it's not too much to tell about around 2 minutes, but it feels like a good start from the Team Deers here.
Yeah.
By the way, of course, we do have that Monster Hunger coming in, as Vala is really going for that race build with the Q build here. Still meta on Battlefield for Eternity. And that Force Armor, kind of the usual talent to go on Liming, as well, as you do not have too many globes around the team fights around the objectives.
By the way, already we see Sephiroth going for very different Joanna talents than Emperor's went last game. So Sephiroth going for the reduced Iron Skin cooldown, hold your ground, and the Sins Exposed. Now the Sins Exposed is the natural choice for doing more immortal damage, of course, but also, you know, commonly picked on other maps by most Joanna players as well. So Sephiroth really showing that he's going to go in a different direction from Emperor's Joanna did last game. But of course, it was Team snOr who won last game, so we'll see how that works out. First half,
yeah, I guess it's kind of a new situation. You won't get too many cooldown reductions on your Condemn with that same build, so it's basically only understandable. And you do have like kind of a better wave clear on the Johanna as well if you decide to go for the
Anna is getting completely blown up here. Lovely control there by ETC, slides in and to secure the kill on that Anna, and that means that this gives it a little bit of a window where Team snOr can start pressing forwards and create a bit of space, because they were down on that Immortal. But I think the poke might be enough just to secure. Yeah, okay. So that Team snOr have secured the first Immortal of the game, going up in the top lane.
Yeah, felt like a little bit uncoordinated try of defense there, with Anna way too much in the front line there and no chance of saving her afterwards.
So they're going to push the usual four top and 1 bottom here, and I don't know how much this Immortal can do, because of course Jaina and Greymane are pretty good at clearing the Immortal. Well, you know, one of the reasons that drafting Immortal race is important on this map is it's not just winning the Immortal, it's when you lose it, you still need something to clear the enemy Immortal, and that's exactly what Greymane and Jaina are doing right now. It's not going to take the fort, and lovely zoning there from Sephiroth. Presses the Iron Skin just in time. But it has taken the front wall and the well and half the fort, which is still a juicy early advantage at 4 minutes. Level 7 talents are in, and Jaina's gone full Frostball and is full range, by the way, at level 1. So that, you know, really trying to just poke down that Immortal. ETC going so aggressive, trying to create space on that camp, but you just can't tank that kind of Jaina Greymane damage as an ETC. So has to play a bit more cautiously there, and give the camp over to Diaz.
ETC is kind of the wrong tank for that, so they will have trouble if they really try to hold a point for longer than a few seconds, as ETC is a nice target then anyway, like, because he can he doesn't have provide with that much of a health pool.
Yeah, he's not that tanky unless, I mean, so because he's built auto attack, he can actually do a fairly bit of self-sustain just by continuing to trade blows. But in that kind of situation where he's just got to kind of walk through a field to get to the enemy team, and in the meantime he's getting bombarded.
Do have a gank on the bot lane under the Imperius, and he's that is a nice attempt of in his camp here, but he doesn't get through there and gets finished off by the Rhaegar.
Nearly an epic escape, nearly, but not quite. As you say, Rhaegar finished that kill off, and now that bottom camp will be picked up by Team snOr, and that will add to the continuous pressure in that bot lane. Slight smidgen of an XP lead here for Diaz, but I think even this wave is enough to cover it for Team snOr. So very even on XP, both of these teams, despite the 2 tower advantage for Team snOr. And immediately, Team snOr want to get positioned on this Immortal. They have the the Valor Q build. Joanna's there trying to create a bit of space. Maybe she can get punished for that, but a huge Iron Skin there will allow her to retreat. And that first half of the Immortal very comfortably over to Team snOr. So we'll see how this the second half goes. I guess Diaz have to engage and look for a fight. They're going under their own Immortal to try and get a bit of a defender's advantage. Sephiroth goes in very deep with the Joanna, has the Iron Skin available. ETC trying to zone, looking for the slide here, but he can't slide too deep, otherwise he'll be completely punished. ETC has to slide back, and it's Imperius zoning out the Valor there.
Yeah, and as we talked about this, the team of Team snOr, they don't have any pressure here anywhere, so they can like delay the push on the Immortal there. And we have Diaz with the back against the wall, so they have to delay the push coming in.
Yeah, ETC slides in, this time onto Imperius, but the level 10s are in for Diaz and not in for Team snOr. Imperius manages to pop his ult. The Ring of Frost there doesn't quite connect onto Uther, who manages to walk out, and Imperius will throw his missiles in a second, catches onto ETC, who's nearly ready to go down, and he's the first to pop. That's going to allow Jaina to start chasing for more, but that's all they need. It's 2 kills so far, but that Immortal is still so low.
It's pretty low, and we do have the damage of Vala and Li Ming still up, so that's why we see the 2 tanks being able to zone that out. They really try to disposition them. And there's an attempt from the Li Ming to finish off the Immortal, and she might get punished for that. No, Ancestral is actually denied by the Anna bomb. Oh, wow.
That's unfortunate, but they still don't get the kill on her. But it's still, that still feels unpleasant. Is Imperius out of position here? The slide in, the burst from Li Ming and the Valor.
He had all 5 members back up, so he felt like probably he had to delay that because their own Immortal was really so low, and that split second of damage from Li Ming and Valor could have been enough to secure the objective. So Imperius decided to go no risk here and sacrifice himself to secure the objective for his own team there.
I'm not sure how much shield that is, but it's barely visible, however much it is. And Valor will make short work of this Immortal. I doubt it'll... I mean, it might get a tower. I don't know if I doubt it'll get 2. But of course, Diaz know that, so they're immediately pushing to the bot lane instead and trying to get a well or something. Don't really get much, but there's 2 towers down in both lanes now for Diaz, as Team snOr have only towers in 1 lane. Here's the Ring of Frost though, onto 2 members. Can Rhaegar get out of here with the help of Uther? Yes, he can. ETC presses the mosh pit though. It's a massive mosh pit, this time hitting 2 members. Jaina's got the nano boost active, but she couldn't do anything because she was too busy dancing. Rhaegar's been taken out eventually, and great little play there from Diaz, who turned around what looked like a big mosh pit.
Yeah, kind of surprised by that. I mean, we do have double cleanse on the side of Team snOr, so they are actually able to keep their ETC running on and on with the mosh pit there for a little bit of time. But this time they still didn't manage to get a kill out of it. And afterwards, after they ran out of the mosh pit, they were pretty screwed.
Yeah, I was sort of expecting Jaina to just die in that mosh pit. It looked like a good mosh, because initially the pressure was on ETC, and then he turned around, did a great mosh, and I thought, is Jaina dead here? But apparently they didn't really have the follow-up ready to go. And that's one of the difficulties with a kind of panic mosh is your team isn't in position to follow up. Oh, as ETC gets rooted, can they follow up? The Ancestral completely denied by the grenades. Lovely grenades here from Ana, played by Porky.
For the second time already, Porky with the perfect mines here. Grenade, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely huge play from Ana. That's 2 out of 2 Ancestrals denied. If she keeps this up, this is going to be... Rhaegar's not going to get any value this game at all. And I'm almost surprised... Oh, in comes Imperius with the Imperius.
What a nice read here from the Imperius, and they... Oh, Rhaegar with the delay, and Li Ming gets away. Barely.
And that was even with another great grenade, by the way, which stopped Li Ming getting healed. And this is one of the difficulties if you go for a 2-support comp, is an Ana grenade can really shut down all your plans. You know, you're like, oh yeah, we've got, you know, twice the healing. Well, no, you've got 0 healing if Ana says so. And Porky really having a huge impact here on Ana. But the fight's about to kick off around this Red Immortal. Team snOr not going to give this up too easily. Diaz say, actually, you know what, we can play this cautiously. We don't have to commit too hard. We're just going to wait for you to make the mistake and find the Nano Boost Ring of Frost when we can. But ETC slides in, gets the Mosh Pit with the cleanse on top. Absolutely huge, but somehow Creamy manages to get out of there. The Ring of Frost to turn around is absolutely massive. The Nano Boost comes in. ETC's going to be the next to fall. It's 4 members on the deck, and only Rhaegar survives. Absolute massacre here by Diaz against Team snOr.
Wow. That Imperius Q was so clutch. We had a good mosh, we had the cleanse there, they were dancing for quite some time, but just as they were about with the Li Ming and the Valor come in to do the damage there, we saw a 3-man stun from the Imperius coming in, and they were completely denied from the damage, and afterwards they were able again to turn around the teamfight there. Very well played here from the side of Diaz, who are actually kind of showing maybe because why this is their map. But so far, to be fair, it's just some really strong performance in the team fights, especially from Ana and Imperius so far.
Yeah, and great play from them. And again, everything you talked about, just a great turnaround there. And by the way, you know, the first Immortal we said it had no shield at all, and it wasn't going to do much. That's definitely not the case here. This shield's still going strong. And by the way, it's a 3-level advantage now. The level 16 talents are in for Diaz, and that's going to allow them even more pressure on this keep, as ETC's got to be careful. Incoming the skewer from Imperius and finishes the job off. And now it's 5v4 as well as 16 vs 13, and there's an... the Ring of Frost on top! That's absolutely savage. Uther and Vala made short work of that by
What is going on, Diaz? My lord!
And this looks like it's going to be game. They're going to equalize out this quarterfinal. They're going to make it 1-1 as they push all the way with this second Immortal of the game. And GG's been called. Well played to Diaz.
Wow.
What a devastating performance.
Wow, what a performance. They were so well synergized in these fights. They were so well communicated. That was amazing by Diaz. It didn't look like the first match at all. We do have a 12-3 kill count, and that was to see in these fights. Amazing.
Phenomenal play from both teams here, but in particular Diaz looked so sharp here. And you know, we talked about those mosh pits. They were great. They were good mosh pits on multiple targets with a cleanse on top to stop them being interrupted. And yet at the end of the fight, it was always Team snOr who was losing. And I'm not sure what the magic ingredient here was, but the Ana grenades are impactful, and as you talked about, Mayon Imperius. Oh my days. Great.
Yeah,
great
and
play.
like the Ana, I guess we could the Ana is especially strong against that double support that they did have. So I'm actually kind of surprised now after seeing the game. I'm kind of surprised that Team snOr actually still ran once they saw the Ana still ran with the double support here. It was kind of like, I didn't see it at the time, but it's kind of predictable that you can get a lot of problems against the Ana with your double support run there. And then, like, I got a first impression when we saw that fight on the bot lane. Like, we saw a missed ring, it missed all targets, and we saw a good mosh, and they still lost the team fight. So that was a moment, or that was the time that I kind of felt like the Deers could be could have the upper hand here in the team fights, and they've shown this easily afterwards when they still managed to connect every spell of them, like the Ring of Frost, the Qs from the Imperius, everything was then on point. And yeah, it's this is a complete open third match, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think this. I've got no idea what's going to happen because definitely in game number 1, Team snOr looked stronger overall strong and steady throughout the whole game, even when they were on the back foot. In game number 2, Diaz were like, "This is our team fighting prowess. Imperius is an absolute devastation force to be reckoned with, and Anna Grenade's going to say goodnight to your 2 support idea." I guess they might not go for the 2 support idea again. We might see an Imperius ban coming out from Team snOr. Frankly, I don't know. We'll have to see, of course.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see for me as well if we might see some target bans, because we might have just witnessed Team Deers finding a combination or a combination that they can run very comfortably. And so that maybe, first of all, map is not yet decided, I guess, but I guess we're going to see a more macro-based map again, picked from Team snOr. That would be my prediction here. And afterwards, it's going to be interesting to see if we might see a target ban from that second match against the Imperius, or maybe even the Anna. Although on the other side, Anna might have worked particularly well in this Rhaegar Uther encounter. So maybe they're going to let the Anna open and just ban the Imperius out, as he had so much impact there in the team.
We have some news on the map, which is for game number 3, the deciding game in this best of 3 quarterfinal. We will be going to Volskaya Foundry as picked by Diaz. So, and we saw how impactful they were with their map pick here on Battlefield of Eternity. So let's see what they can do. And by the way, Diaz have picked all 3 maps in this series. So
yeah, and I'm kind of surprised by of Team snOr to really go for the first pick choice here, because it really felt like that micro-based map and not macro-based map is really working in the favor of Team Deers, and it's not too surprising that they decide to go on Volskaya, which is exactly that.
Yep, and it looks like it's going to be. I mean, they could just do the same again on the side of Diaz. They could just go, Imperius, Jaina, Anna. That all works here on Volskaya. They can really play around those team fights. So I think it's going to be very interesting. I think draft is going to have a big impact this game, and we'll see how these teams play it.
First, it's going to be interesting for me to see the bets going on during the draft in this third match, because I guess a lot of people didn't count in any chances for Team Deers after the performance on match number 1. But after what we've seen just in the last match, I think that might change a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know how exactly. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know who to put the money on. Frankly, and we said Team snOr came into this series as the favorite, having done better in the division stages and done better in viewer polls and stuff. But now it really is anyone's game after that performance by Diaz, where they looked so incredible.